Hello friends, welcome back, or if you are new here, welcome. I wanted to do things a little bit differently this week. I thought it'd be kind of fun to mix things up for our Friday video. I know that recently I haven't actually had a Friday video, I don't think, in like 2 weeks. Usually I'm more on top of it, but we have had a lot going on, as many of you know, so I figured right now would be a really good time to kind of mix things up and try something new. So I figured instead of walking you through every recipe that we're doing throughout the week, I thought I would pick up the camera whenever I remember, which is kind of a key thing because it is not always easy to remember when you're not used to like recording every meal. So anyway, I figured when I remember, I will pick up the camera and hopefully bring you throughout the whole week. So whether it be breakfast or lunch or dinner, dessert or snack, whatever it may be, I figured I would take you guys along with us and just kind of share what we have for our family of 6 throughout the whole week. So anyway, tonight we're going to be starting off with Lincoln, my 8-year-old, is going to be making dinner. This is, I believe, the first meal that he's actually going to make, and Theo, my 6-year-old, he did say that he wanted to help. So they're going to be making spaghetti tonight. That is something that they volunteered to do fully by themselves. When my husband and I were discussing how we were going to alleviate some of the stress from me so I can kind of rest up and not have so much pressure from cooking and cleaning and just everything on my shoulders, I want to be able to rest fully and kind of just gradually move back into homemaking. So when we were discussing this, my 8-year-old Lincoln, he came in and he had been listening and he was like, you know, I really want to help make dinner. And so he volunteered to make spaghetti. That is one of his personal favorites, and I figured it is a really easy recipe that surely he would do such a wonderful job. So him and Theo will be doing spaghetti this evening. I think I have garlic bread in my freezer. We had someone bring a bunch of garlic bread for Christmas, and I believe we had extras put in our freezer. I'll have to double check, but if so, we'll also be having some garlic bread with our spaghetti tonight. So that will be our first meal. We are a little early still. We'll probably start it here soon. I want to get a little bit closer to when my husband gets off of work. So anyway, we will be starting that soon. They're actually both playing outside. So if you've heard the dogs during any of this, that is why, because the boys are outside playing with the dogs and the dogs are just loving it and going crazy and barking. So anyway, if you've heard the dogs barking, that's what that is. So I'll call them in soon and then we'll start, and I will go ahead and show you guys that when we get to it. Lincoln was really excited to make dinner for everybody. He does not usually cook. Like I said, I think this is like his first meal that he's ever really done. And my daughter and I, we were in there just helping him along the way. I did not want him to cut up onions. There's something about that that just kind of freaks me out. We also just sharpened some of my knives, so I did not want him to like cut himself. So I just went ahead and diced up some onions and then he put that in. But other than that, he pretty much just ran the show. We were just kind of directing him with everything. So he really enjoys cooking. He loves helping and stuff. And I feel like I need to do better at bringing them into the kitchen a little bit more, because they love being in there. They love helping. But when you are a busy mom and you're just trying to get things done, it is really easy to just quickly throw something together and not take that time to like slow down and show them how everything works. So I think this year that needs to be one of my goals for myself, is to really slow down, which I'm trying to do anyway, but slow down and bring them into the kitchen more. Here is the spaghetti that Lincoln made. The burner's off, it's just still warm. So we're gonna put that at the table. We have some garlic bread going. And then while that is kind of cooling down and everybody's setting the table, I am going to start on some Rice Krispie treats. I don't think I have either ever made them before, or I've only made them like one time, maybe like a really long time ago. But they sound so good, and we have all the stuff for them. So make a quick batch of Rice Krispie treats for dessert. So I am pretty sure that this was the first time I've ever made them. I just don't ever remember making them before. And afterwards, I'm like, why did I never make them before? This was so shockingly easy. I think it's just one of those things where I knew that it was easy, but it's hard to remember them. I don't know. It's not one of those things where, you can think of chocolate chip cookies and stuff just because they are so normal and you make them so often. I think Rice Krispie treats, even though my whole family loves them, it is just harder to remember that they're even a thing. So from now on, I do plan on making these so much more because, man, they were so easy to make and everybody really loved them. My daughter did end up adding in some more marshmallows at the very end to kind of have like chunks of marshmallows, but they turned out really good. Look how pretty the sky is this morning. Just wanted to share. Still pretty early, but I have a pot of coffee going and I am getting ready. And I'm gonna make a pancake casserole is what I'm calling it. I think it's just like a sheetpan pancake, but I'm gonna make one of those and then we're gonna get up and do school. So speaking of things that are so super simple and make you think like, why am I not making this more often? This is definitely one of those recipes. So I usually will do pancakes and I make a huge batch. Sometimes I will double or triple the batch just to be able to put a huge amount in my freezer. That is also something that I plan on having as a goal this year, is to really stock up my freezer and my pantry. But I will often make a huge batch of pancakes and I put them in the freezer, and then you can kind of take out however many you're wanting to make. You can defrost them or just put them right in the microwave. So that makes a really quick, easy breakfast. But if you don't have any of that in your freezer, it can kind of be a little tedious to make a bunch of pancakes. And that is really one of the last things I want to do on a weekday morning. So this is the perfect thing for one of those busy weekday mornings, or even on a weekend, just if you want a quick breakfast. You make your normal pancake batter and you mix it all up, and then you put it on a greased sheetpan. I think I did like a 9x13 like pan. I didn't do it on a sheet pan, but I did it in a large baking dish, and then you just bake it until it's cooked all the way through. You can top it with butter and syrup like you usually do a pancake, but it is so much simpler than sitting there in front of your griddle or wherever you cook pancakes and flipping all the pancakes, because it just cooks like a big cake and it is nice and fluffy. I also took the remaining pieces that we had left over this morning and popped those into the freezer, so they will also make a very quick, easy morning breakfast. Breakfast is just now finishing up, so I figured I would show you how it all turned out, and then I'm gonna slice it up. It's usually really only the boys that eat breakfast. I sometimes do, but I've actually not really been eating breakfast very much lately. I used to have like scrambled eggs every morning, but I don't really crave breakfast anymore. So I usually eat closer to lunchtime, and my daughter has always been like that. She has never been a breakfast person. So usually she will have her first meal around lunchtime too. So anyway, I'm gonna slice this up, and it will probably just be my boys. My oldest son, sometimes he eats breakfast, sometimes he doesn't. It just kind of depends what he's in the mood for. If you can hear in back of me, the boys are already fighting this morning. We have been on winter break for the last 2 weeks, and this is our first day back to school. So usually when they have spent that much time together over break, it starts, they start bickering and stuff. It's, you know, siblings. So they could definitely use the break and have some separation during school. So I'm kind of excited to jump back into that and have our routine back, even though it has been really nice over break to just be able to relax and not have to rush around and, you know, have the hustle and bustle of the school time routine. But it will be nice to kind of get that back. So I'm going to get breakfast going, and then we will jump right into school afterwards, and then I will see you back here at lunchtime. Here's how our Sheetpan pancake turned out. Usually there's not a bunch of color, it just kind of starts to brown on top. So anyway, I'll just slice it up, put a bit of butter on and syrup, and we will be good to go for breakfast. One thing about me is I am always one of those people that is a sucker for the trends that I see on the internet. So this was one of them. I like watching the people that are doing like weight loss journeys because I am always trying to better myself with that. I've had plenty of struggles along the way. I did end up gaining a bunch of weight with going through everything that I went through with my youngest passing away. I gained weight with that, and I always am now working on trying to do better with that, just kind of slowly and gradually. I've been slowly trying to make changes over the last few months, and I mean, I'm kind of always trying, but I was really making a lot of switches over the last few months, and I did end up losing about 10 to 15 pounds, so that was exciting, and I am just kind of slowly going with that, gradually finding new recipes that I want to try, and trying to find new ways to just kind of better recipes and make them a little bit more healthier. So anyway, I had come across this recipe online. The lady that shared it, I believe she lost 250 pounds, not just from this recipe, but just from a number of recipes. And this one sounded very interesting to me. I was pretty excited to try this one. This is kind of like a pasta salad, but you're not putting any pasta in it. So it is a bunch of vegetables, and I like how versatile this is. You can literally do the vegetables that you're wanting to do. You don't, if you want cauliflower, you could do cauliflower. If you want broccoli, you can do broccoli. If you don't like celery, you don't have to add it. Just kind of whatever you want. You dice up a bunch of vegetables and really make it your own. And it is, when it's a bunch of stuff that you like and not a bunch of stuff that you don't like, you're more prone to eating it. So anyway, I filled this bowl up. I had a bunch of veggies that I wanted and needed to get out of the fridge. So I diced them all up and I put them in the bowl, and I'm going to give them a good mix. You also will, traditionally you use a Italian dressing, but I have really been enjoying a Greek one that I've found. So that is the one that I topped this with. And that is it. As it marinates in the fridge, it gets even better, but this was one that I was wanting to try, and I've really been loving ever since. We are still working on school, but we're going to take a quick break for lunch. My older two, they already made their own thing. We're just kind of doing like a quick fend for yourself, pulling a bunch of things out of the fridge, and we're just kind of picking whatever we want for lunch today, keeping it simple for our first day back at school after break. So I'll turn the camera on and show you what we're having for lunch. So you saw I made this quick, I'm calling it a not pasta salad. Basically is the same thing, it's just not with pasta noodles. So it has cheese. I did add some cubed up cheddar into it, just because I kind of like that bite of cheddar. So I added a lot of different veggies, chopped them up really nice, and not really all the same size, but they're all nice and small. It has a little bit of turkey, a little bit of low-fat mozzarella, and then, like I said, I added in some sharp cheddar cheese into that too. And then you can use like an Italian seasoning, and you can do like a light Italian seasoning. I really like this Greek salad dressing. So I've been using that instead of the Italian, but typically you use the Italian dressing in it. I just have really been liking this one lately, so that's what I got. For me, if anybody else really wants it, they'll have it, but most of the time me and my husband are the only ones that are like eating this. It lasts for a few days in the fridge, but as it sits in the fridge, it just kind of marinates all together and it adds a really, really nice flavor. So as it sits in the fridge, it actually gets better with time. We have a couple of different grapes. These are actually hard to see. So we have black grapes and then the red grapes, just to kind of go with lunch. The boys wanted yogurt, so I'm gonna make them a bowl of yogurt with granola or whatever they're wanting in it. And then I've been eating this papaya salad. My friend sent it over for us and it is so good. I've never made it. I've actually never had it before, but it is so spicy. She said there's habanero peppers in it. And it is it's incredible, but it hurts because it's really, really spicy. So I'll probably have some of that. I think I'm also the only one eating that. So I've been eating on it over the last week or so. But yeah, lunch is really simple today. Not a lot to it, just very easy and will be really easy to clean up too. We're going to have lunch, I'll clean up, we'll finish school, and then I will see you back here at dinner time. I swear every time I pick up my camera to talk to you guys, my boys go outside to play with the dogs and then they're barking the whole time. So again, I apologize for the dogs. But we are in the process of making dinner tonight. We are just doing a very simple taco bowls. It's basically just doing, you know, rice, beans. I did ground turkey meat today. I'm gonna make some guacamole. I still have to make that. Just dicing up some vegetables, lettuce, stuff like that, and everybody can kind of just put whatever they want on their taco bowl. I love doing stuff like that because it's fairly easy. It's stuff that I can do over time. Like I have the rice, it's just about done now. I did the turkey meat and the beans already, so now it's just kind of like the last minute things, cutting up the vegetables and doing the guacamole. So I like doing that because you can kind of space it out and do other things in the process. So I've been doing some hand knitting, which I will show you. You might actually see it before this video. But something that I'm trying to get into, something that one of my goals for this year is to kind of get more crafty and really enjoy myself, do more things that I enjoy doing. And I was kind of excited to start that. I also want to learn crocheting. I have started that, but I don't think I'm very good at it just quite yet. So anyway, those were some goals of mine for this coming year. It's just kind of getting crafty, doing various things. But those were a couple of little things that I was really excited to start. So I did start those. But anyway, back to dinner. I will show you once we have everything all done, but that is the plan for this evening, is just to do some really simple taco bowls. Okay, the boys are off to set the table, so I'm just going to show you really quickly what we're having. I have the ground turkey. I'm just warming it up, so it already was cooked. And then I put in a can of black beans, so that's what that is. I do have some warmed up tortillas in case people want it like at the bottom of their bowl. We like doing that, so then once you get to like the end, you can kind of make a burrito. I have the rice in here. Now I did kind of mess it up because I wasn't paying attention. It turned out great, so it's fine, but I went to go add the taco seasoning to the ground turkey, and for some reason, I think my pots, like usually I think I do the ground turkey on this side and the rice on this side. And I ended up putting all the ingredients into the rice before it was cooked. And I was more than, like I think I was on like the very last taco seasoning ingredient before I realized that I was putting it into the rice and not the ground turkey. So this actually doesn't have any seasoning. Because the rice had all of the taco seasoning. So that is that. It ended up turning out great. So glad about that. This is actually one of the plates. So we have the tortilla, the rice and beans, a little bit of the turkey meat, a big handful of lettuce. We put some salsa, sour cream, guacamole, and I believe hot sauce on that. Usually, you know, if they want cheese, there's that. We have this taco sauce, some lettuce, and then the guacamole. So anyway, that is dinner, and I will see you tomorrow. I would say good morning, but it is actually the afternoon. We are at just after 12. We did not really do a breakfast this morning, so I did not film anything. I did not eat breakfast. My two older ones did not eat breakfast. And then the two younger boys, what did they do? They just grabbed something quick. We had some muffins in the freezer. I just defrosted those and warmed them up. They had some really quick muffins, but that is all we had this morning for breakfast. So I did not pick up my camera to show you, but we are about to have lunch. So I will flip the camera around and show you what we're going to eat. And then I think I have to double check my schedule, but I believe I'm going to be throwing something in the crock pot for dinner tonight. So if that is the case, we will throw stuff in the crock pot for dinner also. So lunch is just another one of those throw it together type of lunches. We do this a lot during the week, mostly because we have leftovers from meals, and so I don't want those going to waste. We a lot of times will eat through those for lunch. We'll have something easy. Theo, he came in and he wanted yogurt. He actually made it himself. So he made himself a bowl of yogurt with granola, and that is what he'll have for lunch, or that's what he had for lunch. And then everybody else has not ate, so we're all gonna kind of just work with what we have. So we have the not pasta salad from yesterday. Again, that is just a bunch of vegetables that I diced up, some cheese, some turkey, and then I put a Greek dressing on it. So the more it marinates in the fridge, the better it gets. So we have that. I still have some more eggs to make. My kids love eggs, and it really doesn't matter any time of day, they love eggs. So we're going to do some steak. This is a huge steak. I should have saved the packaging. I'm not even sure how big, but it's a big steak. So we're gonna split that. If anybody wants some steak and eggs, we'll have some of the not pasta salad. We still have some of the papaya salad to eat. Again, I think I'm the only one that's eating that, so there's not much left. I'll probably finish that off today. And then we have some spaghetti left over from dinner when Lincoln made spaghetti. So I'll warm some of that up, and we'll kind of just have a little bit of everything. So anyway, that is lunch. And like I said, I think I have to double check my rotation of meals, but I believe we're going to throw in stampede soup for dinner tonight, and I'm just going to throw that in the crock pot because, believe it or not, I actually have time to do that. So anyway, let me double check that, but this is lunch, and then we'll go ahead and get started on dinner. Okay, so I got everything out for dinner, so we're just gonna throw that in the crock pot really quick. It's a super simple meal. I will have it posted down below in the description box. I've made it before on my channel, but I wanna say it's at least been a year. I have not made this in a really, really long time. So if you're familiar with Branson, Missouri, you will know about Dolly Parton's Stampede soup. From, what is it? I think it's Dolly Parton Stampede. So that's like the restaurant she has, and it's a show as well, but she serves a vegetable stampede soup at her restaurant. And this is kind of the copycat version of that. I have mixed it up just slightly. So there's not usually chicken added. There is chicken broth, but I wanted to add a little bit of chicken. My family is not huge with like a ton of meat in soup anyway. So I know it's only one chicken breast, but it's a good size, and I know that this will be plenty, especially for a soup that doesn't usually have any chicken. So I am adding one chicken breast. I have to pull up the recipe. It has been so long. So 1 chicken breast goes into the pot. It also does call for 1/4 cup of flour. However, I'm going to wait and see what the consistency is after it's been cooking for a little while. I might not actually have to add that. So if I do add it afterwards, after it's been cooking, I'll add it in with some milk. I am going to leave that as well until the end. So if I have to add any flour, I'll add it with the cream or the milk, whatever you're using at the end. So anyway, there is 1 chicken breast in the pot. If you don't want to use the chicken breast, again, you don't have to. It's just something that I've added. You're gonna put in about a teaspoon of garlic and onion powder. This is something that just measure with your heart with that. I usually add a little bit more garlic than what it says. A little bit of onion powder, salt and pepper. I will be mixing all this because it kind of seems a little out of order, which I think it is. Some pepper, some salt. And again, I kind of just go easy with the salt at first because I am going to be adding some chicken bouillon. So it calls for a can of chicken broth, which I think is about 15 ounces. So I don't have that on hand. I'm going to use actually 20 ounces of water, and then I'm going to put in some chicken bouillon. So I didn't do as heavy of the salt because I might not need it after the chicken bouillon. I'm gonna add in a little bit of that. Now, one thing that really makes this recipe is the mixed vegetables. You can use frozen. I always use canned. I'm not really sure why. That's just always what I do. And I believe, yeah, the recipe also uses a can of vegetables. However, I'm going to deviate a little bit from the recipe. So this is the can, can you see that, of mixed vegetables that I'm using. I'm going to use 2 cans. This one's slightly different. I didn't realize I got a different one. This one has potatoes and celery, it looks like, added with everything else that's in here. So anyway, I'm going to add in 1 can now, and then I'm going to wait and add this one in later. So the recipe, I think, originally calls only for 1 can. I have 6 people in my family, so I'm gonna make a little bit more. And I like to have chunks of vegetables in my soup and then also puree these. So these, the ones that I put in now to cook with the chicken and the rest of the soup, those will be like the chunks of vegetables. And then this can I'm going to puree and I'll add it in afterwards, after it's cooked for a little bit. So again, I'm going to put in the milk. I think it has 2 cups of half and half. So you can use evaporated milk, you can use cream, you can use milk, whatever you have on hand. I'm going to use it in a little bit. I'll add it in after it's cooked for a couple of hours. I'll add in, I don't know if I have half and half. I might just add milk, but either way, it doesn't matter. So I'll add in whatever I have. I'll do 2 cups of that, and then I'll puree this, add that in, and we'll also see if the consistency is good or if I'll need to add in the flour. So anyway, I am going to give this a good stir, and then I'm going to start it on high because it's about lunchtime. So give it about 4 or 5 hours. And after about halfway through is when I will kind of make any adjustments that I need to. But otherwise, it'll be a really good dinner. I'm going to serve it with grilled cheese, I think, and that will be it. It'll be a really simple weeknight dinner. All right, we are back with dinner. Here is the plate of grilled cheese. I'm just gonna pop that on the table and people can kind of grab whatever they want. And then over here, I started getting the soup in bowls. But this is how it's looking. So it's nice and creamy. I ended up, so I did add in 1/4 cup of flour. And what I did was I just put that in with the vegetables. So I put the vegetables in my blender, and I actually did 2 cans of the vegetables in the blender. I know that I said previously that you only do one other can. I ended up doing 2 just to make a larger batch, and then I mixed that in the blender really well, pureed that, and then I poured that in the soup. So that is what gives the soup a nice creaminess. But then also we have the other chunks of vegetables from that one can that we added in. Anyway, but that is dinner. I'm gonna go ahead and put that in bowls, and I will see you tomorrow. Hello, welcome back. I have one more meal to share with you guys. It has been a crazy busy day. We've been running around, so I didn't have time to pick up my camera and share with you the things that we've had throughout the day, but I am wanting to share dinner with you. I'm pretty excited about this one. I've never made it before, but I have seen it a bunch of times on the internet, and if you have TikTok, you might have seen it too. I know that for a while there, like within the last month, it was pretty viral. It is kind of replicating the meat that you would make in a gyro and cooking it in a way where it resembles like the sliced meat. So anyway, I'm going to be making gyros tonight for dinner. We're going to have some potato wedges on the side, and I've already rolled up the meat, so I will show you how I did that. I'm also going to be making some chicken gyros too, so I'm going to sear the chicken on the stove and cook it the rest of the way in the oven. So I plan on doing it both ways just in case my family doesn't like the one that's on the internet, the viral gyro meat. So if they don't like that, I have chicken as an option, which they are usually used to eating and do enjoy. So we're just gonna have some gyros tonight, like I said, with some potato wedges. So it should be fairly simple and really delicious. We have not had gyros in a number of months. I usually reserve them for the summertime, but I don't know what, I think I saw the video and it just sounded really good. So that's what we're gonna have tonight. And then we will be running around all day tomorrow for homeschool, so I will not be sharing. So this will be our last video for today, or this will be our last meal for today's video. But I hope you enjoyed this video. I know it's a little different. I have not done a video style like this before, but it was kind of nice to switch things up. So anyway, I'll turn the camera around and show you once dinner is done. If you or your family is a fan of gyros, I highly suggest making this recipe. It turned out really, really good. This was probably our favorite from the week. My family does like gyros, but usually I make chicken gyros, and we do them a lot of times in the summer when we're grilling chicken. So I will just do, chicken gyros because that is what is easiest. However, I saw this viral video, you may have seen it too, where they're using, I think it was beef. Maybe people use some lamb too, which is traditional in gyros, but I believe the recipe that I saw, it was beef. And the way you're doing it is how it ends up turning out like traditional gyro meat. So anyway, I ended up using ground turkey. I wanted to give that a try, and I do have a bunch of that on hand, so I'm kind of trying to cook through it. But anyway, so what you'll do is you'll season it really well. I did garlic, onion powder. You want to make sure it's really fine. So I did not actually use like a minced garlic. I made sure that I used garlic powder, a tiny bit of cumin, just a cup of oregano. I'll put the seasonings down below, but you will make that into the meat. You mix it up really well. I did add an egg into it as well. And then you roll it into 2 pieces of parchment paper, really thin. And then you roll it up just like I did, and you cook it on 400 for about 20 minutes. So I've had it cooking for about 20 minutes. It is a little nicer on the outside and more for what I was looking for. So what I did was I chopped it up and then I cooked it for a little bit longer until it was more on the crispier side. So, and that is honestly, that's all you have to do. The recipe that I was following, it said to put it under the broiler for a couple of minutes, but I did not do that. I just put it back in the oven while I was making these pitas, and it turned out so good. This is definitely going to be my go-to recipe for gyros. It is so, so good. I will also post down below the recipe that I use for my pita bread because it is so simple. I honestly use the same recipe for my tortillas, but I just roll those out a lot thinner than I do my pita bread. So I roll these out a little thicker than I do for my tortillas, and then I cook them in a really hot cast iron pan. They take very little time to cook on both sides. So that is how those turned out. And then here is how the turkey meat for the gyros turned out. Like I said, highly suggest this recipe if you and your family love gyros. All right, we are about to eat. We're setting the table and getting everything ready for dinner. So I figured I would show you what we're having now that everything is all ready. So I made some pitas. This is a super easy recipe. I feel like I used to be intimidated by this and think that it was really hard, but it is barely any ingredients and a really easy recipe to put together. So if that is one that you're wanting, I'll have that down below in the description box for you. But we have some of those. We have just some veggies. I know that lettuce is not traditional on gyros, but I like that added crunch. So we have some of that, some onions, tomatoes. I put this out. I'm not really sure if we're gonna use it, but I figured this would be a good meal to put it on if anybody wanted that. So I put that out just in case. I made some tzatziki sauce. So that is that. We made potato wedges. So those just came out of the oven. This was that meat. It was kind of viral, that TikTok gyro meat dupe type of thing. So this is actually ground turkey that I seasoned. I did add an egg just because I was a little worried about it not staying combined. So I did add an egg, but usually I have not seen that in other people's recipes. So if you are not doing any other meat and you have a large family like mine, you will probably want to double this recipe because I felt like it really didn't make enough. But I also did make some chicken. So I just seared this on the stove and then I popped this in the oven. That's how I do a lot of chicken a lot of times. So anyway, that is that. And then we just kind of shredded it up, diced it up into pieces that can easily go onto our gyros. So we have this meat and that meat, but if you were just doing one, I don't think it would be enough if you have a large family like mine. So anyway, that is dinner. And here is how dinner turned out. Like I said, this was probably one of our favorites throughout the whole week. This is definitely going to be on repeat coming up here soon. But anyway, that is all I have for you today. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.